So we've begun our healing journey. One of the first things that we do is we stop running from our pain. We try to sit with it. We try to face it. We try to build a relationship with our pain. We try to understand it. And we try to comfort it. When we start to build this relationship with our pain, the emotions that we have suppressed throughout the years are one of the first things that begin to come up. And they might come up through memories, through re-experiencing the things that hurt us. One of the first emotions that comes up is a very big emotion, and it is the rage, the anger that we held from all the times that we were hurt, from all the times that we had to suppress our emotions, from all the times that we had to suppress our boundaries, from all the times that we didn't have anybody to stand up for us, and we couldn't stand up for ourselves. This emotion of anger, of rage, is one that oftentimes likes to find a reason why we're feeling this way. We might say, I feel this way because somebody hurt me. I feel this way because my parents were negligent, they were abusive, they weren't present, they were wrapped up in their own minds, so on and so forth, busy with their own lives. When we start to go down this path of working with anger and rage, one thing that likes to come up is blame. And this is a pattern that we have to be very, very aware of, and we have to navigate it very carefully. Blame is not something that is helpful or conducive to any of the outcomes on our healing journey that we're looking for. In fact, blame is one of those patterns that will keep us wrapped up in the same old pattern. When we're blaming somebody, or something, or some system, or some political party, not to say that there's nothing that has been done that didn't hurt us. There are things that happened that did hurt us. But when we blame others, it makes us a certain type of person, a victim. When we're a victim, we're helpless. On the other hand, if we can sit with what happened, if we can try to be curious and we can inquire and we say, I am upset because my parents hurt me. We could ask, why did my parents hurt me? Well, that was their way of relating, we might find. We might find lots of reasons why they did it. But somewhere along the line, somewhere along our parents' paths, they learned that same pattern. They learned to treat their children the same way that they treated us. And so we have to ask, where did they learn it from? Most likely from their parents. And as we see, this becomes a lineage. We call this intergenerational trauma, where patterns of pain are handed down through the generations. We can't really find an area where it started. And we see that that same pattern is inside of us. So we are just as likely to repeat that same pattern. And if we look closely and if we take a proper look at ourselves, we can absolutely find areas where we are repeating that exact same pattern. And this is for real. So if we're going to blame our parents, we're also going to blame ourselves. So as we see, this is a pattern that is not helpful for the healing process. What is helpful is to try to smile to that anger, to try to comfort it, to welcome it, to embrace it, to try to soothe that anger. This is the wounded child inside of us that's crying out for attention. When I ask people, when you went through this experience that caused all this pain, what was the thing that you needed the most? It's always pretty similar. The answer is almost always identical. Somebody to be there, somebody to listen, somebody to see me and understand what I'm going through, somebody to comfort me. Nowhere in there is blame or attack. Maybe somebody to protect me, to set boundaries, and that's something that we can learn to do. We can learn to use our anger in the moment. When it's coming up, it's telling us to set a boundary. It's telling us that we're being treated in a way that is not in line with how we want to be treated. Nowhere in here do we need to blame anybody. When somebody's treating us this way, we can begin to see that they're in tremendous pain as well. And when somebody's in pain, we don't want to fight them. We don't want to attack them. It's not helpful for us and it's not helpful for them. Just like our pain, if we have a pattern of stuffing it down, of running away from it, of distracting, of fighting our pain, of trying to get rid of it, it's the same thing. We blame it. We want to fight it. There's a conflict here. Instead of fighting it, we can try to relate with it, connect with it, and comfort it. And this approach is much more helpful than blaming others and making ourselves a victim. When we start to see this pattern inside of us, and we see this pattern inside of others, we introduce choice, we introduce agency, we make the choice not to blame them, not to attack them, not to blame ourselves, not to attack ourselves, but rather to be compassionate and try to sit and understand why this is there. And then once we can understand this pattern, then we try to comfort it in some way, whatever that way is. It's different for every individual. This is the approach that we want to follow: agency, choice. When we can do this, when we can choose how we respond to these situations, rather than being a victim, we become very powerful.